Hello everyone, and welcome to the Missouri School Boards Association's Board Report for the month of February. We thank you for the opportunity to share some news and information during a few minutes of your board meeting. We begin with a look at the opening of the Missouri Legislature's session and Governor Nixon's State of the State address. During his speech on January 21st, the governor proposed a $278 million increase in funding for the school foundation formula. That would go a long way toward funding the formula at the level envisioned by the legislature itself when it enacted the current formula in 2005. Nixon also said in his speech he would continue to oppose bills that would reduce state revenue available to fund public education and other essential state services.
As we saw last summer, in community after community, in all corners of our state, parents, teachers, administrators, school board members, business leaders, and concerned citizens spoke out with one united voice. The people of Missouri said they expect their elected leaders to support public schools because they know that education is the best economic development tool there is. High-paying jobs, growing businesses, thriving communities. These are goals we share. So let's invest in the one thing we know will help us achieve them: a workforce that can compete worldwide. This is a year to send a budget to my desk that puts us on track to fully fund our schools and builds the Missouri our kids deserve.
But legislative leaders are disputing the governor's revenue projections for the next fiscal year and say the money simply isn't there to fund schools at the level Nixon is proposing. Senate Appropriations Committee Chairman Kurt Schaefer even went so far as to say the governor's budget proposal is a political fiction. Meanwhile, tax cut legislation similar to last year's House Bill 253 is moving quickly through the legislature this year. MSBA remains strongly opposed to tax cut bills that would reduce state revenue and threaten the ability of the state to fund public education and other essential services. We'll keep you updated on the progress of state funding for our schools and other legislative issues throughout the current session of the legislature through our Legislative Voice newsletter, our weekly Capitol Watch video program, and through daily updates on the MSBA website. And don't forget about our School Board Advocacy Network visits to Jefferson City coming up in March and April. This is your chance to visit the Capitol during the legislative session and discuss issues with your local legislators. Check the MSBA website for the date of your region's visit to Jefferson City. School districts throughout the state are becoming more concerned about the number of students suffering from concussions. Certainly sports such as football and soccer are the source of some concussions, but there are other causes as well, according to Paul Finnewald, the advisor to MSBA's Center for Education Safety. Finnewald says it's important that schools have a concussion management plan in place and designate someone to serve as an advocate for students who suffer concussions.
And sometimes possibly the parents may not know, and even sometimes their local physicians may not know what the best practices are as far as keeping the child out of school for a period of time. They're not even doing things like watching video games and stuff like that until their brain has time to heal. And that advocate should be the person that makes for sure that they're following the best practice guides.
MSBA's Center for Education Safety has been participating in a series of workshops around the state on concussions, sponsored by the State Department of Health and the Missouri Brain Injury Association. The state would pay for all high school juniors in Missouri to take the ACT exam once under a revised state assessment plan announced by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. The plan also would implement 30-minute survey assessments in language arts and math for students in grades 3, 4, 6, and 7, and full tests in those subjects for students in grades 5 and 8. End-of-course exams will be maintained in Algebra 1, Algebra 2, English 2, Biology, Government, and Personal Finance. Those assessments will be administered online. Be sure to register for the MSBA Spring Regional Meeting in your area. The spring meetings this year are especially important since they will include the election of your region's Board of Directors representative and Regional Executive Committee chair under MSBA's new governance structure. The program for the spring meetings this year will include presentations on outstanding programs from school districts within your region. That's it for this month's edition of the MSBA Board Report. Thanks for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and so long from Columbia.